Oh, goody, goody, here it comes.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show.
You are interested in the unknown, the mysterious, the unexplainable. That is why you are here.
Oh, my God, don't stop now!
With your hosts, Brian, John, and Elaine.
Welcome to the Cinema Psycho Show, the madhouse for film freaks and film fans of all types. I'm your host, Brian Kindhinge, and my fellow co-hosts and filmmakers, John and Elaine Woolscroft.
This is really as good as it's going to get, isn't it? Halloween sequel-wise. This is what we
you're
get.
just right out of the gate.
I thought you meant
Right out of the gate.
life or possibly our show. I really didn't know where you were going there.
I'm living the dream.
You're saying that at episode 119, this is as good as it's going to get.
And it sucked. Yeah, no, Lane. I'm living the Psychos Nation dream.
I see. Well, you are living your best life. I won't disagree.
You are. So yeah, we're in episode 119, and we're going to be reviewing the much loved and, what in my opinion, much hyped sequel boot thing.
Bootical.
It was a soft sequel boot.
Soft sequel boot thing.
I like bootical.
Guys, are we just cynical film twats? Like,
Yes,
it seems like
we are.
everybody really enjoyed this.
Yeah, we are.
And I think it's just because, I don't know, were they just happy that they weren't unbelievably let down?
Yeah, man. That's the grade we're curving on now.
Yeah, exactly. The grade we're curving on is, well, is it that bad? Is it really as bad?
Did it make me want to die?
Did it make me want
question.
to, take punji sticks and jam them in my eye sockets, or
Oh my, that was intense.
But anyway, we're going to be talking about Halloween 2018.
Buckle in,
this week.
everyone.
And there's no news bit. We're diving straight the fuck in.
Bringing you the best fresh
Straight
bits.
the fuck in. So let me ask you guys this. We all saw this after the premiere of it, right? Like, we weren't there a weekend. What was your experience like going to the theater watching it? Because I think a lot of people need to understand how the theater works.
Well, and for anybody wondering why a movie called Halloween, we're releasing the episode in November, we wanted to give you guys time to see this because we can't help but spoil things all the time. So it's been out, I think, now like 3 weeks?
I think 4 weeks, I believe.
Yeah. So if you haven't seen it by now, to you.
I really enjoyed that noise. It's like the inner side of your side.
When I went to the theater, like Lane and I saw it separately, there were 3 people in my theater. Now, it was a weekday, but it wasn't during the day.
Right.
It was, I think I saw like a 6 o'clock show or something like that. There were 3 people in the theater, and one person was pirating images from the movie.
That's delicious.
See, that doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why are you not pirating the entire movie? Why are you just pirating images?
His arms will get tired. He doesn't want to keep them up that long.
Maybe he thought his battery would die.
Has he never seen like the little tripods that wrap around shit? I mean, he could have had a whole rig going.
He could have been a next level criminal, but he just didn't care.
No.
Sloppy nowadays.
That's sloppy. I mean, I don't know.
And taking a copy of it to Times Square, selling it on the street. It says "How the Wan," like he misspells it.
It's perfect.
Yeah, Lane, what was your theater experience like?
I can't top John's. I saw it with my mom in my hometown. I'm from a really small town. There was like no one there. I think it was like 2 other people, but that's not a surprise because the theaters in my hometown are fucking disgusting.
I was just about to say,
Like,
that's right. You saw that
the
crap
floor
hole.
sticky?
Yeah, no, I wish the floor was just sticky. It looks like you're going to get fucking crabs from the seats. They're fucking filthy. Okay, so the theater was built.
Smells like mildew.
The theater was built when I was in the 7th grade.
Oh, geez.
Maybe 8th. And they have not been changed or renovated in any way since that time.
Does it have that stale popcorn smell?
I don't even think it doesn't even smell like popcorn. It just smells like stale ass in there. Like, no, I'm not trying to be like funny, you guys.
Ass and jizz.
I literally brought a picnic
Pee-wee's
blanket.
theater.
Like, I brought a picnic blanket in with me, and I put it down on the seat because I was like, I'm not fucking sitting on this.
Do they not even care that you're bringing in blankets? Do they like realize why you're using the blankets?
I don't know. The guy didn't say anything. It was like some bored college student. He like didn't
He's
seem
like,
to give two
what the
shits.
fuck?
Like,
Okay.
that's not even that old. Like you think like when you're talking about this movie theater, I think of the one from like Last Action Hero. That was from like the turn
that
of the
one's
century.
covered in jizz.
I thought you were gonna say, the movie theater was built in like 1905.
It's in our fucking
It was a
mall. It's not
vaudeville
like
theater
historic
originally.
or something. No,
that makes it worse.
Yeah, my
It's a
point is
mall
it
Way
shouldn't
worse.
be
Yeah.
that bad.
Oh, it's a mall.
it's-
No.
But like the seats have never been.
Strip mall theaters are terrible. Like, was it built into like the actual mall itself?
Yeah, it's in
Yeah.
the mall itself.
Oh,
You like walk into the mall and it's
those
like
are
one of
the
the only things
worst ones.
Yeah, well, and two, like I'm sorry, but sometimes seats get updated every
They do.
decade or so. Like these have never been
Yep.
touched. They just look like they're just gonna give you AIDS. Like it's just disgusting.
Not to go off on a tangent here, but I've seen a handful of movies in her hometown, and they've all been fucking horrible. Let me take you on a journey. The House, that Will Ferrell, Amy Poehler comedy.
That's your own fault. You saw that.
Why did you see that?
I saw 47 Meters Down.
I saw Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull.
The one that we don't
Are you fucking kidding me?
And World War Z.
Okay, that's not the theater's fault. That's your fault. Your fault for picking terrible fucking movies.
Hey, World War Z should have been good. It let us down.
It let us down.
Sure.
I heard the book was
okay.
good.
Whatever. Yeah, my experience was funny. So we went and saw this at the a theater in Washington, PA, because we dropped off my daughter with my mother-in-law.
Okay.
So we had an afternoon to ourselves.
Oh my God! What did you do? You wild people.
We just went to the theater. And but my experience was funny because the before and after part was hilarious. So the going to the theater itself, no one was there at all. And we were like, oh, this is great. So we went in the very back of the theater.
Ooh, I like that. I like
the great seats to the point where like if I stood up, my head would cut into the projector.
Oh man,
and it did.
The middle.
I was like, oh, this is great. But anyway,
is that the silhouette of Michael Myers? No, someone's getting up for popcorn.
Yeah. But so we were like, oh, this is cool. No one's in the theater. And then we started to see a couple people come in, like there may be 2 or 3. And then we saw 2 guys bringing a child into the movie.
So idiotic.
And of course, where do they sit? Right next to me and my wife.
Why?
And when you say child, you don't mean 12.
No, I mean this kid was
6,
probably.
right?
I had to gauge it. I'd say he's between 6 and 8. So terrible parent.
Yeah, because this movie's fucking.
This movie
violent.
is fucking violent as all hell, and the previews were terrifying too. Like we're sitting there, and the kid is sitting right next to my wife, and the I think it must have been the dad and his like buddy, and they're watching the movie, and the kid's getting scared shitless of the fucking previews, and we're just like, you might want to take him out. Like this isn't appropriate for him. And I'm someone who loves horror movies, and I grew up on horror movies. I'm like, listen, he wants to watch horror movies. There's a time and place for that. It's a place called HBO, and you just watch them at 10 o'clock at night. Yeah. That's how it works. That's how we did it.
Or in the summertime, the kid sneaks down at 1 a.m., puts a TV on, sees something he's not supposed to.
Yeah. But anyway, the kid was getting up, and he was talking through the whole movie, so we're just like, not only is this movie fucking terrible, we got to deal with this shit. So, that part sucked. And then the best part, I did mention this, so... And I'm fine with outing this restaurant.
Brian's going to stick it to Chi-Chi's.
Oh, no, I'm sticking to Garfield's.
Shit's getting serious.
You ever been to Garfield's?
The fuck is
No, I'm
Garfield's?
aware of it.
Okay. So the theater that we went to in Washington, there is it's also in a mall, okay? And the actual theater itself wasn't bad that we went to. It was not as gross as yours.
Guys, I saw this in Mount Lebanon in Galleria 6 in the mall. We all saw this in mall movie theater.
Well, you can get a beer in yours, so I don't feel
Listen,
sorry
I can't
for
go
you.
to the Hollywood Theater in Dormont anymore, okay? This is what I got to do.
Anyway.
But anyway, so we were hungry because we didn't eat anything beforehand because we're on this whole keto diet, so I can't eat popcorn and shit like that.
Right.
So, we're like, oh, well, let's go to Garfield's because at least it'll have meat and, salads and things like that. So we're going to the Garfield's, and the Garfield's is, again, inside a mall.
Right.
And we're sitting down, and my wife and I ordered steak. And the steaks that we got, because they asked, what do you want? I'm like, I just want medium. Medium, little well, just a little strip of pink. And what I get is a steak that was still alive.
Oh, so
Sounds
it's my
perfect for
kind
you,
of
Lane.
steak.
Yeah.
My kind of steak.
No. Just really alive. Like, they didn't even cook this fucking thing.
No, that's how I like it.
It's like a dead.
Like, I like
dying
it barely
calf.
passed over a match. It's called Pittsburgh Rare. I like a crust, and I like it blue inside.
Yeah, I don't like E. coli. So
It's cool.
I'm not in for that.
I like keeping my immune system on its toes.
Yeah. Well, there was that, and then, my wife, she got steak too, and her steak was nothing but fat. Like, no, literally.
Oh, wow. That
nothing
always annoys
but
me.
fat. The whole thing.
I do hate that.
And this was a pretty, pricey meal. It was like $12-15 because it's steak. So like I handed it back to them. They apparently they were like, oh, well, that's medium. I'm like, no, that's rare. That's what that is. And they took it back. I'm like, oh, wait for this. They're gonna spit in that fucking steak.
I was gonna say they're gonna give you a nice semen glaze.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
I didn't taste any in there, so
This steak tastes like bleach and grape.
Ew,
but they gave it back
nasty.
to me, and it was burnt to a fucking crisp at that point.
Oh,
And-
Assholes in the kitchen are pissed off.
They were
yeah.
pissed. And the best part was like we were like, well, the waitress is not her fault, and I understand. I'm like, you know what? I understand it's not her fault. And we were filling out the check and everything, and they actually, my wife didn't eat the food because she was just like, you know what, this is ridiculous. So they gave her comp meal, and I'm filling out the check. I'm giving her a tip, and as soon as I finished, she's like, oh well, do you want dessert or anything? We're like, no, we're good. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, next time you come in, just let me know. And, I'll make sure that the manager cooks your meal.
oh wow!
I'm like, really, bitch? Like we were such a problem that it necessitated the manager to cook.
Well, she wasn't just trying to be nice.
No, I don't think so. It came off as
Passive
aggressive.
Oh, bummer.
Passive aggressive. So that was our experience watching Halloween.
Wow.
So
sounded like a delightful romp all around.
Sounded like
yes. It was a bad afternoon. Needless to say. But yeah, the movie.
Guys, I'm starting to think that you can't really make a sequel to that movie.
I'm starting to think that we should just start thinking of new movies and not making sequels to everything. Like that's what's kind of getting old
starting
to me.
think that maybe Blumhouse isn't all it's fucking cracked up to be, like I've been saying.
You
for the
love
past,
shitting on Blumhouse. Let's
119 episodes.
Not going to listen to you though, because you love
Just
shitting
saying.
on Blumhouse so much.
Just saying, they had one
made
good
Get
one.
Out, and that's it.
That's it. That is the only good one they did. That's the only good one.
You don't like Annabelle's Revenge?
No.
Or whatever the fuck.
No, I don't. Annabelle's.
Yeah.
That sounds like a porn.
I think it only took them 40 years to realize. Oh, no, they haven't realized it. But it only took the general going audience about 40 years to realize you can't make a sequel to that movie.
Maybe.
That it was lightning in a bottle, and even though it's an independent movie, made a lot of money, just let it go.
But the thing is, we're I think in the minority in terms of popularity of this movie.
Yeah.
It made a shit ton of money.
It made a shit ton of money.
And I mean, there's a lot of stuff here that I liked. I liked that it was a female lead. I liked that it was a female lead over, 55?
Three female leads, really.
Right. I mean, yeah, but I mean, we're talking Jamie Lee for the most part. But for her to be the leader, that was really interesting because she is an older actress, and there's a lot of discussion that there's usually not a lot of older actresses in Hollywood that are, getting a lot of good paydays, that are getting a lot of good, results. That's something that's very... problematic in Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
So,
well, I guess I just mean for all the hype that went into this. So
that's my problem.
This is it. This is just, we're getting John Carpenter back to do the music. He cleared all the script stuff. This is going to be almost as good as the original, if not better. This is finally the sequel everyone deserves. And no, I don't think anybody can say that this movie, even if you did like it, lived up to that hype that they built around it.
In the most benign way, it was fine.
As I said,
it was average.
I said this the last time when we were talking about the Halloween series. I said that this is basically Force Awakens. That's what it was. That's exactly what it was.
I liked Force Awakens a lot more.
Right.
Though.
Well, yeah, but I think John, you probably have the best key to this because I think you probably like Halloween more than all three of us.
I think that's fair.
Yeah,
I think that's fair. So, Lane and I, we love Star Wars, and we'll give those fuckers our money no matter what. They basically have it in on our bank accounts.
Yeah, dude, just take my money. It's
So I mean, yeah, Force Awakens. I'm gonna go see it. I'm gonna like it, and I did like it. Because I said that the purpose of Force Awakens was to get the bad taste out of people's mouths from the prequels. That's their only mission. It didn't matter how bad or how good it was. It had to get rid of the memory of Anakin talking about sand.
And midichlorians.
I hate sand.
Yeah. It's rough and gets in my dick. But the point is that this movie operates in the same fashion.
He probably did have a lot of burning pee.
I see it in there again.
But what I'm saying is this movie operates in the same fashion, okay? Because the Halloween movies that came before it were not that good. What was the last one? Halloween Resurrection?
Well,
no, Rob Zombie's
Halloween too.
Yeah, and no one liked those. So you had to get rid of the memory of those movies. It operates the same way.
So now there have been 3 Halloween 2s. How do you guys feel about that?
It hurts me.
It hurts
a little.
One of the Halloween 2s is called Halloween, so now there's 3 Halloweens, but 3 Halloween 2s. What?
This is getting worse than the Fast and Furious stroke.
This is worse than the X-Men universe.
Woof.
And it's clear that this is a soft reboot because they called the movie Halloween. It wasn't, H4O. We don't have Halloween 40 years later or Halloween the new beginning or something like that. Like they want you to think this is Halloween. This is what we want you to think about now. Forget that one in the 70s that we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for that.
Well,
That's true.
Can we just agree that maybe Danny McBride should not write scripts?
That was okay. Yeah.
We got to talk about this dialogue,
Can
guys.
we just have him not write scripts anymore?
Well, it was because it's fucking horrible because there were so many times that characters had the most bizarre dialogue in this movie because a comedian was writing a horror movie.
Yeah, exactly.
The little kid that was being babysat, the dad in the movie, so many characters, like the dorky best friend character.
Yes.
They sounded like professional comedians writing a
and
horror
that's
script.
because the professional comedian wrote their lines.
Script.
Yeah, it was like Joss Whedon-itis where everyone's too clever for their own good,
Yes.
Yeah. But so obviously this movie is following the events of the first film and only the first film. So there's no Laurie's his sister. There's no he was burnt to a crisp and got his eyes shot out. If you want to hear more about that,
nuts.
check our archives.
Yeah, check our Polish works.
Listen to that. So it's taking place, and I'm so glad they didn't show this, but I guess they kind of implied that after he got shot and got up, he just kind of wandered down the street and passed out, and then they arrested him and put him back.
See, the problem is they should have shown that because we get, Deputy Doofy who shows up, and he's supposed to have this whole backstory of, I almost let him go. I didn't fucking see it. Did you fucking see it? Because I didn't see it.
Well, did you want to see it? I mean,
yes! Yes, I did!
It would have made Michael look like such a bitch.
No, but seriously, yes, I did want to see it because that's what movies are. I don't want just the fucking exposition from Deputy Doofy.
Well, do you want to see John Wayne cry? Do you want to see Clint Eastwood take a crap?
Yes, I do.
There's a certain mystique that comes.
But you know
with
what I mean?
character,
Because the reason why I had a problem with this was just there was so much onus on that the sheriff basically regretting that whole scenario and having some sort of connection with Laurie, and it's all implied through exposition that we never see. It tells me that they shot something but cut it out. There's a lot in this movie that tells me a lot of stuff was cut out.
Maybe looked like crap, I'm guessing, and they just
right. But my problem is that you're relying on exposition to kind of cue the audience in because my wife was like, oh yeah, he was in the movie. I'm like, no, he wasn't. And I was right. He was not in the movie.
Well, that's a tricky
thing. It wasn't the original one, what I mean?
Yeah. That's a tricky thing about a movie like this because it's a holiday film.
Yeah.
And so there are some people, let's go see that Halloween movie because it's the holiday and let's see something scary. You would think that if you're going to see this movie, you've seen at least the original.
Oh, yeah.
But
absolutely.
the filmmakers can't count on that. And most of this movie is, and Brian, I'm glad you said that, most of this movie is exposition the movie.
Yes.
And we're recording a podcast on a tape recorder.
Okay, first of all.
Tape recorder.
First of all.
That was bullshit. That made me
that was
so
some
angry.
fucking shit right there, okay? That was fucking shit.
I was so mad immediately, and my mom could not understand why I was so angry.
Yes. You're going old school with your fucking tape recorder
so
shit.
Fucking stupid.
Yeah. That's how you record a podcast, folks. But it allowed them to just riddle the movie with exposition.
Yes.
It's like, oh, but here's how Michael Myers got caught and now he's here and how long he's been here. And this gives us an excuse to give him his mask back. Yeah, so the podcasters are murdered. So
the podcasters were basically murder bait.
Yeah, they were there for 3 reasons. Exposition, give him his mask back, kills.
Yep.
Murder bait.
Murder bait.
Yeah, they had no point in it. And why Michael went after them is not really explained. Somebody online suggested that the mask woke something back up in him and he wanted his mask and that's why he tracked them down.
Yes, the latex degrading woke him up. It was the smell of the ammonia.
And in the first movie, I kind of thought he just grabbed that mask because it's Halloween.
He just grabbed it because he needed a fucking mask.
Right there, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it didn't seem like his super happy comfort place or something. They're trying to make
his
it
security
seem.
blankie.
But you know what? They did make that mask a whole big fucking deal in this movie. oh, how important that mask is. Oh, blah, blah. It's like, dude, it's one, that mask should not be even, in its same shape.
No, dude.
At all.
Latex does not age well, guys.
Turns to shit after 5 years.
They did try to beat it up. They made it look like all haggard and...
Yeah, no.
A friend of mine in the Justice Department gave me this mask. Like, fuck you.
Yeah, dude.
That was like...
Yes, Mr. Professional Podcaster.
Not a thing.
It was like in Terminator 3 when he's like, right over there's a plane. My dad taught me how to fly one of those when I was a kid. Like, wow, God, you shoehorn that little piece of dialogue in. So
ridiculous.
Plus, I'm going to be honest with you. What Justice Department person would be like, oh, yes, the podcast has credentials enough for me to give them critical evidence from a crime
from 40 years ago. Yeah.
Someone who doesn't have a job at the Justice Department anymore. That's
seriously,
fucking
right?
I did think it was a nice touch that they said, from the Babysitter Murders, which was the original.
Yeah,
that
was
a nice
kind of a
wink.
Wink, wink, nudge, nudge.
Yeah. So they decide to transport Michael Myers around Halloween because
reasons.
That's a good idea.
Just plot.
The one time he escaped was on Halloween, and that's when you're going to transport him.
Maybe you don't do that.
Yeah, I mean...
Plus, didn't he, escape from a transport in the first movie?
They never quite explain it, because Loomis pulls up, and, all the inmates are outside. They never explain... I guess you're supposed to believe Michael broke out of his cell and let everybody else out as a distraction?
I guess.
I guess so.
Halloween has a lot of problems. As much as we all love that movie so very, very much, there's so many problems with that movie.
It's true, man.
But surprise, Michael escapes again. Yeah, and it was very interesting how they showed a lot of his face. They didn't show his face, but you saw him without the mask.
You didn't see the front of his face without the mask. You saw the back and the side.
There was one point when he was killing the podcaster where you kind of saw a profile.
Oh,
it still is more than they.
It was very hinted at, and I think they were trying to make it more.
Which was Nick Castle from the original film.
That was a nice touch.
Oh yeah, mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay.
When the guy had the mask on, it was a different actor, but for the. I'm sorry. It was not Nick Castle for the face shots. That was a new actor. But when he wore the mask, it was Nick Castle because they wanted to replicate the movement that he had from the first one, that kind of watery flow movement that he had. Mm-hmm. That was Nick Castle in the mask. It was not him.
Okay.
When he was exposed, facially. But yeah, let's talk about Jamie Lee Curtis, who's really carrying this film. That's why people were excited to see it. What did you guys think of 40 years later PTSD Laurie Strode?
Lane, you want to start?
I don't know. I wanted a little bit more of a fully fleshed out script. I just felt like it was the shadow of what we would expect from her situation. I didn't think it had any real unique depth. I didn't think there was anything in there that spoke to her actual experience. I thought that the movie said a few things about trauma, but I didn't feel like it said everything about trauma that I would have liked it to.
I agree with you. I think they absolutely could have put more depth to her character. I did think it was interesting to see what someone would do if they survived that, and how would that alter their track in life. And you do see kind of the repercussions of that. She doesn't have a close connection with her daughter. Mm-hmm. She has a tenuous connection with her granddaughter. She's basically spent her entire life in fear, but at the same time, that fear is what drives her to, really try to eventually kill him. She wants to kill Michael Myers. And she even says, she's like, I prayed that he would escape so I can kill him.
That was such a bad line. I prayed to escape. And then the cop goes, why would you do that?
She wants to kill him.
Her prayers is why he's out.
Yeah. but my point is, it was interesting to see what someone, who goes through that situation, what changes them, So I liked that part. I thought her performance altogether was good. I didn't think it was terrible.
No, Jamie's a very good actress.
But she's also a good actress. She's a pro. So I knew whatever bullshit Danny McBride gave her to speak, she'd be able to, add her own, gravitas of acting.
You keep throwing Danny under the bus. He only wrote technically a third of the script, and I think he might have been the punch-up guy. At best.
Oh, you think?
It was David Gordon Green, and there was another writer on the film.
Oh, yeah,
as well.
there were 3 writers.
Well,
That's right.
Okay, so those
Jeff Bradley.
Okay, so we'll give it to Jeff for those good lines. But I don't know. I just I felt that she did the best job she could with the material she was given. You know,
and I got kind of a controversial hot take here.
Ooh, controversial hot take right off the presses.
I preferred the Laurie Strode character from H2O than I did the Laurie Strode from this one.
Really?
I thought that there was more depth to. Don't get me wrong. This movie, sadly, was 10 times better than H2O. But I thought that there was much more depth to her character in H2O than there was in this movie.
Where she was like successful but overprotective, and
yeah, like she was still troubled by this, but she didn't let it completely control her life. And there are so many varying levels to post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah,
I'm not undermining that,
true.
but for her to just be kind of batshit loony in this movie, I thought it made it kind of hard to watch and hard to root for her.
Kind of simplistic.
She was a lot like Sarah Connor in Terminator 2.
Yeah.
Like Sarah Connor's not. You like her because she's the main character in the movie, but she's not a likable person. She's kind of crazy.
She's great. She's fucking crazy.
And that's what Laurie was in this movie. She's a crazy hermit who like is waiting for a guy to come out so she can kill him. She tortured her daughter growing up. You know, they had to like remove her daughter from her custody. And speaking of which, the other women in her life, goddamn, Judy Greer's fucking terrible in this movie.
And she's better than
I was
this.
gonna say she is pretty terrible.
It's almost like she's doing an impression of Judy Greer in this movie.
Yeah, and she's better than this, man.
And I never got a sense of her relationship really with Laurie because I know that's a studio thing. The studio said we need Michael all the time. We need lots of deaths. Don't focus too much on Laurie's PTSD or her relationship with her family. And the audience will be bored by that interesting, thoughtful stuff. So just kind of only talk about that in dialogue. Don't ever show anything or show really the relationship dynamics. Just show Michael stepping on people's brains because our audiences are idiots.
First of all, that particular kill was bullshit.
Yeah.
That was as bad. As the thumb in the head.
But at least that Michael was supposed to be like supernatural or something.
Oh no!
This movie makes such a point that he's a real fucking person.
He's just a regular Joe.
He steps on someone's head, blows it up. He gets hit by a car, gets up like 10 minutes later, like, that was kind of annoying. Real guy, my ass. He's just as supernatural in this one as he is in any of the other one.
Super fucking natural.
It's so fucking dumb.
It's really annoying.
It's just like the guy's head turns into a water balloon and explodes. Or it's like, I don't think heads work that way.
In the
Dude,
movie
if
theater,
your skull's made of putty, I guess.
I guess.
In the theater without even meaning to, when you
that
stepped
guy
on
was a putty from Power Rangers.
Yeah, man.
No, you punch him in the chest and they blow up. But in the movie theater, without even thinking, when he stepped on his head and it just blew up like that, I went, real fucking guy.
Oh,
I didn't
my
even
God.
You did not scream it, did you?
Yes. Oh, God. I was just mad. And I was like, oh, shit, I should probably not do that.
That's funny, dude.
I think the guy pirated the movie was like, yeah.
Yeah, but no, you're absolutely right. Like those sorts of plot points where we do get I'm sorry, it's called maturity in the filmmaking. They just weren't there, and they were glossed over, and it was very much exposition.
And the granddaughter is completely useless.
Oh God, yes.
There's literally the only reason for her to be in the movie is because they need teenagers to kill.
Yes,
because she does nothing in the movie.
All she does
nothing.
is she really doesn't understand why her grandmother is crazy and why your mom and her don't get along. So she's on team grandma the whole time.
Yeah.
Well, she's also there to show more of Laurie's character, and that never really works well when you have a character in a film that you only serve the purpose of fleshing out another character.
Yeah.
That never really works.
Yeah. Definitely.
Well, they realized very early on because the movie should have focused on Judy Greer's character and her relationship with Laurie, but they realized, well, we need teenagers to murder because that's what you do in these movies. So we'll put the granddaughter in there who will do nothing. The movie could have existed completely without.
I gotta
her.
say, the crop of teenagers that they have in this movie are fucking terrible.
Oh my God.
Well, the movie even calls itself out when she's walking with her friends, and they're feeding the exposition as well to kind of catch people. And the one kid points out, wow, one guy killed 3 teenagers in 1978.
Oh, that's the friend that disappeared halfway through the movie? Yes.
But he says, like, in today's day and age with all these gun massacres and things like that, is that really that big of a deal? It's like, no, movie, don't call yourself out.
Yeah, dude. Like,
they're doing a Scream.
Hold fast on
Well, no,
that.
they're pointing
Fucking
out
Scream.
that
Can't be meta.
if you're only following the first movie, it's kind of irrelevant in today's day and age. Michael Myers is meh compared to these. He's not even anything compared to, like, the Columbine
It's
killers.
true.
They killed 10
I
times
mean-
more people.
It's true, dude.
Yeah.
Like, good job, movie. You called yourself out.
Good job, you.
Like, yay, you?
But yeah, so Michael Myers. Let's talk about his kill count here.
Oh.
Bing,
The first movie, he kills 3 people. What,
Yeah.
like 20 fucking people. He's killing.
He is
every
killing
fucking-
He was
everybody.
hungry for some murder. He was in the mood for more murder. He was like,
Yeah.
you know what was great about 1978? Murder. What's great now? More murder.
Well, I will say this: the only scene that I really loved in this movie is when he was like a cat, and everybody on the streets on Halloween were mice. And he walked down
That
the
was
street,
pretty
and he
sweet.
went into a house, killed a bitch.
That was
went
great.
into another
I will
house,
give that.
killed another bitch. Like,
Yeah.
That was pretty sweet.
That was pretty good. I like that because they like didn't even like do anything with the music.
Yeah.
Really? Like it was just kind of
and it just points
environmental.
out that he's just a mindless killing
Yeah.
machine. You know, and that'll come up later.
Like
with
a
the whole
wild,
doctor
like
stuff.
a like a wild cat almost.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
a wild animal.
Like he just sees people and he kills them, and there's no rhyme or reason to him at all.
He doesn't
He's
kill kids
ju-
though.
Well, he killed one kid.
He did.
Did he kill that kid?
Yeah, when remember the very bizarre scene when the bus crashes and the dad is
Oh,
talking
shit,
with his
yeah,
kid?
he did kill that kid.
Dad, I'm willing to dance now. Like, what the hell is this
Where's this
conversation?
dancing?
Yeah,
We're
like
gonna
what
go
does this
hunting.
even mean?
Yeah, I want you to go hunt with me, son. I want to dance, Dad. Deal with
That
it.
was weird.
And then, yeah, he
That was
kills
the Danny
the dad.
McBride line.
Yeah,
That was
and the
him.
kid gets back into the truck, and from behind in the back seat, Michael kills this little kid. I was like, Michael just killed a kid.
He murdered a kid.
Yeah,
that
I
was
forgot about
crazy.
that. He did kill that kid.
And then there's that like cheap scare tactic earlier when there's the baby, and you're like, oh, is Michael gonna kill the baby?
Is he gonna actually kill?
If
baby?
he had murdered the baby, I would have stood up and applauded. I would have been like, "This is the greatest
Bro,
movie
I don't
ever."
think you would have ever stopped laughing. I
he would
really
have just
don't.
hit it and turned to a water balloon and explode.
If he just stabbed it, picked it up from the knife, and just chucked it through the window. So much for that, baby.
Yeah, but do we want to talk about the like the main kills here, like who actually were important to kill, not
Yeah,
just
John, you're-
mindless ones.
You're
boy.
breaking it down.
I'm trying to remember. So there were the two
The
people that he killed.
podcasters, yeah, they're dead.
Yeah, the podcasters. He killed the podcast. Which real guy pulls 12 teeth out of a guy he just murder's mouth
Yes.
while there's other people around. Real human being, Michael
Yeah,
Myers.
That was weird. I don't know why we
and
needed
uses
the
it to
teeth.
taunt a woman. I thought he was a mindless killing machine, but he's scaring her by dropping the teeth in her
Yeah.
stall.
I really didn't know what
That's
the
some
teeth
Freddy
meant,
tactics there.
Yeah.
Why it was like
That's a Freddy
applicable.
tactic.
Real human being,
Yeah,
Michael Myers.
Real human being. But yeah, he traumatizes and then kills the podcasters. And then he who else does he kill after that?
Then he kills the two people as he's walking down the street.
Yes.
That's how he gets his knife. He kills the babysitter.
Yes, the babysitter, the friend of
The babysitter murder.
of Lori's granddaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah, and very weird dynamic between her and the kid. She's like maybe I guess that guy's like supposed to be like a comedian too. Like he's a little kid
Like the
comedian.
little kid?
Yeah, the little
Okay.
kid's a comedian.
Yeah.
I think he's on YouTube. I think he does like Baby Obama or something like that.
Oh.
But he's he's
Okay.
a professional actor.
Yeah.
And like I understand the dialogue, and I'm like, okay, I guess this is something that a kid would say to a babysitter, but it just seemed.
But with the tone
very-
of the movie,
No.
it didn't fit at all.
No, it didn't.
It would have been like Scream. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Because that whole movie's glib from the outset.
Definitely.
Yes, but it
Definitely.
stuck out to me as just being too coached. It didn't seem natural. Like you look at the original. In the original, they're talking about, the boogeyman. Is the boogeyman real?
Yeah.
And Laurie has that great dialogue. He's like, "Oh, the boogeyman isn't real," and then you find out that it is. But those sorts of conversations seem more real. Like that, a kid would have that conversation, and not just some smart ass back and forth bullshit.
Yeah.
I mean, granted, I have
Yeah.
kids, so I could say they do a lot of that, but not to that level of complexity.
Well, and they always say the first scene of your movie sets the tone for the rest
Yeah.
of the film. And these podcasters are talking to Michael Myers, who won't turn around. There are dogs barking. There are other people in the asylum freaking out. They're screaming, "Michael, talk around, turn around, turn around." And the music's building. It's like, okay, this is going to be a very intense, hyper realistic,
and I thought it was going to be
hyper tone, like scary tone movie. And then we have these scenes where kids talking about cutting their toenails and weird conversations they have about girls not wanting to kiss them back in the backyard at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
It's just like, this doesn't fit in this movie.
It seemed like the script did go through a couple rewrites, but like things didn't get like tonally, like there was no homogeny in the tone.
Yeah, I guarantee the studio said we need some humor, and we need more Michael kills.
Yeah,
because Michael kills like 25 fucking people in this movie.
Yeah, he kills a babysitter and dresses her up in that sheet.
Yeah,
just another wink, another callback.
Callback. Some of the trick or treaters were in Silver Shamrock.
Of course, I saw that.
I saw that. Here's a deep callback. The kid.
Oh yeah, John had to explain this one to me.
Yeah, the kid and his dad in the car. The song they're listening to is from the first film. They had so little money in 1978 when they made Halloween that John Carpenter and Jamie Lee Curtis wrote like kind of a country song. Brand new song for her to sing while she's walking down the street after she runs into the sheriff in the first film. He says everybody deserves one good scare, and she's walking down the street humming this song. They wrote that song to use in that scene because they didn't want to pay for the rights to.
Oh shit!
Somebody actually composed that song into an actual song, and they play it on the radio in the car.
Isn't that crazy?
That is a deep cut.
I thought it was like some country
I'll give you guys
song. What do I know?
That's a deep cut there. But yeah, I just the babysitter kill was okay. That's great. And then you get the friends were terrible.
Yeah.
Like, I really hated the friends in this. I hated the boyfriend dynamic because I thought that was fucking stupid.
Well, here's a problem with a lot of recent horror movies is you have to explain why people don't have their cell phones.
Yes.
Right.
Or, and because I remember there was a horrible movie I saw on HBO about like inbred killers in the woods, and they're chasing these people whose car broke down, and they're like, "Oh, I still can't get any cell service." There's always some excuse, like
always something,
right? Of course.
And in this movie, the boyfriend grabs her phone and throws it in like nacho cheese.
It was nacho cheese.
Yeah, and she's like, "You say jerk," and like no teenage girl would like not dig for that phone.
They would be digging. But you could throw that thing into a toilet full of shit, and they would get it.
No teenage girl wouldn't have clawed the guy's face off either. Like it was weird.
Well, see, and I thought Michael was going to come after her. And it's going to explain why she couldn't call for help because she didn't have her phone. No, it was just because the police would have used her cell, like where her phone tapped to track her, but now they don't have it.
Right.
And that's the whole reason.
It's only tracking them to the nacho cheese, and that's not really going to work.
But they could have had like a cool snack and then kept looking.
Yeah, well, let's eat, boys. We'll find that phone eventually.
Yeah, but I just felt that the teenage friends were just a waste because you had the boyfriend who you're like, oh yeah, he seems like a cool dude. And then he turns out to be a shitball, and the best friend of the guy who's really McBride-ish.
The Ducky of this.
Yeah, he is the Ducky. He's the. I mean,
the John Hughes reference.
Well, I just look at him as very much a. He was a character Danny McBride.
Oh yeah.
Dreamed up. Like I'm like, oh, this guy's that. But he's like Mr. Funny Guy. But he's also just like he's really into. I should probably know Laurie's granddaughter's name before talking about it.
I'm bringing up IMDb,
but
I'm horrible.
I'm terrible at that. But he's really into her. But he doesn't want to. He's like, oh well, I thought we were broken up, and he tries to put the moves on her, and then he gets killed.
Yeah, he makes out with like Tigger at the dance or whatever.
Yeah, the boyfriend's making out with Tigger.
Is she supposed to be like Joe from Josie and the Pussycats?
I guess so.
I can't tell. Yeah,
I guess
she's dressed like a tiger.
She's dressed like a tiger, and yeah,
Allison.
Yes, Allison.
There we go.
That's her name.
So, I thought it was Allie, but I didn't want to say anything about wrong.
No, you're fine. But I just felt like that they were a waste in terms of friends. Like, you look at the friends in the original, and I hate to say that, you have to reference the original, but that's what you do when you're a sequel. Yeah. You're looking at the original and saying, okay, what's the dynamics there? And the original, you had PJ Souls and what's her face, who's the other friend who gets killed.
Call her Annie.
And at least those characters at least had some personality, And I mentioned how
kill bait.
Well, I mentioned how her one friend, the guy who's all talkative in the first half for the one scene.
Yeah.
He disappears.
He's gone.
He just gone.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I told my wife, I'm like, so what happened to that one character he had lines and
he forgot to renew his SAG card and they kicked him out of the movie.
Seriously, right? but I'm like, he kind of disappeared. We never saw him because typically in a horror movie, that guy would be a victim and be killed, right?
Yeah.
You know,
or it would pay off in some way.
Pay off in some way, and there was none of that. You know?
Well, and a lot of these, these death scenes, what really bothered me was in the original film, which I feel like we said a million times now, but we obviously have to reference it. They built up the characters and the tension for so long that it was building to a crescendo of actual fear.
Yeah.
And in these scenes, they used a lot of cheap, what I like to call like trailer shot tricks.
Oh, absolutely.
To like try to have tension in the scene. But when I don't really know who these characters are, they've only been on camera for a little bit of time, and I don't really give a shit about them. I'm not going to be scared of your cheap trick horror scene.
Don't you feel... And I thought about this after I saw it. Don't you feel that this movie is missing a middle?
Somewhat, yeah.
Like it's really missing a middle. It has a beginning, okay, and it has an end.
And then Michael kills a bunch of people in the middle.
But that's it.
Yeah.
But that's it. There's no development, and that's the thing I think that you're seeing in the original is that the original spent time. You know, you have a beginning, you have a middle, and then once you get to the point where Michael is killing fucking people. That's when it really gets interesting because now we're dealing with characters that we've spent time establishing.
Well, I have a feeling that there was probably a lot more Laurie characters or Laurie scenes rather with
Allison.
Karen.
Oh, Karen.
Her
the
daughter and Allison that were cut from the film that would have helped flesh all this out so much.
I think that this movie is missing about a good 20, 30 minutes.
Might be interesting when the Blu-ray comes out to watch the deleted scenes.
But I just feel that this movie it's like once when we were watching it, we're just like, wait a minute, that was 90 minutes?
Yeah.
And it's 90 minutes, and you're just like, that's
super short.
That's really short. And that was the key to me to saying, yeah, they must have cut a lot of stuff out of this, and to the point where it was done to like almost ad nauseum because now like you watch it and everything is exposition, as you said, because the fact that stuff's been cut out.
Yeah.
You know?
And it really is a shame because, like I said, I thought it's, what I thought would have been much more interesting, but never ever would have thought I would have been laughed out of the boardroom of Hollywood here in one of the studios. What if the whole movie followed Laurie, who was convinced that Michael Myers had escaped or was coming after her, and there never was a Michael Myers? It was all about her and her like paranoia, and she ends up like killing a family member or something like that.
See, that would be interesting.
Yeah. Well, no, we need Michael Myers stomping people's heads in and
turn into water balloons.
Yeah. Using a water balloon head and ripping heads off, putting people on fences and shit like that, because that's what people want to see. And I think the people that didn't like this movie are Halloween fans, and I think people that like this movie are Michael Myers fans.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big distinction there. If you love the mask and the outfit and the butcher knife and the murder, you're going to fucking love this movie.
Right.
If you liked what John Carpenter had created in Halloween and you're actually a fan of that movie, you're not going to like it. But if you just love Michael Myers, he does all the hits.
He does do all the hits.
He comes and murders a bunch of teenagers.
Now, I will say that I feel that this movie is very much paint by numbers up until a single point.
Okay.
And then it completely goes off the fucking rails into what the fuck did I just watch? Okay? And that single point, I'm getting at. That single point is when the doctor, who we've been told...
Oh, my God.
Okay. The doctor... I gotta have this one, okay? The doctor who we've been told, and even Laurie says it, oh, you're the new Loomis. God!
Yeah.
When he kills the sheriff and then puts Michael Myers' mask on, at that single point, that's when the movie was like, fuck you to the audience.
I was laughing my ass off.
The fuck?
I was like, this movie just went straight off the rails into a building.
Yeah. At first I went, what the fuck? And then I laughed my ass off.
Yeah,
That's what I said. I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, seriously? And I looked at my wife. I'm like, this is ridiculous,
I thought
right?
I dozed off for a second. I really do, because I've been so tired lately.
You dozed off and you woke up into a parody of Halloween.
I thought I fell asleep for a second, and I was like, what? Because like when your thoughts get like really stupid as you're falling asleep, like,
or
and
if
you know
you're
that's
watching
how
something, right? And then you don't know you're asleep, or like maybe you're like starting to fall asleep and you're listening to like a movie you've seen a million times, and you're like, I don't remember the scene where Gandalf like starts having a dance party with Barney, and you're like, oh, I'm dreaming now.
Yeah, For me, I'll be watching TV and I'll be like, why is Ina Garten only making radish rosettes? That's so weird. And then you're falling. Then you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
I really like. I mean, it was at like a microsecond, but I was like, did I fall asleep for a second?
Let's break this down.
Oh my God, John, you're so full of glee.
so
why
happy.
don't you dig in for us?
Okay, first off, you're the new Loomis. No, Lori, you're the new Loomis.
Yeah.
You're the one obsessed with this guy and wanting to kill him and rid the world of like the boogeyman. Like, so you're the new Loomis, but okay, ignore that.
You're the Loomis, and you're the Loomis.
This
and you're
guy
the Loomis.
is stereotypical Albert Einstein looking doctor. Dr.
Sartine.
McDoctor. Yeah.
Sartine.
He should have been, hi, I'm Dr. McInsane Asylum. You know, like that's my name.
My name is Dr. Crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm Dr. Loon. Yeah, we get introduced to him in the beginning of the movie, and I'm so glad that this didn't pay off in a bad way, because the whole movie they go, he can talk, he just chooses not to.
Oh, yeah.
And at the end of the movie, I thought he was going to go, Lori.
That would have sucked.
Yeah, thank God. I think they kept building that up, and we were going to be like, no, don't do it, and then they didn't do it. Like they made us think they were going to blow it, and they didn't.
Yeah.
Which is a strange way to make a movie. But yeah, so this...
Yay, you didn't fail.
Yeah. So he's obsessed with the relationship dynamic between predator and prey. Mm-hmm. And all that really is they need a reason to bring Lori and Michael together.
Yeah.
Because in this movie, they're not related or anything like that, so there's no reason for Michael to go after Lori. He's just going to kill people that are near to him. Mm-hmm. Which, why, in a filmmaking perspective, why don't you just have Lori keep hunting Michael and not go back to her house, because then you don't have any reason for Michael to find her or go get her. Mm-hmm. But if she's going after him, which I remember seeing the trailer and I was like, that's genius, because if they're not related, Michael has no reason to go after her. They fixed that problem by having her go after him.
Yeah, it was genius.
But then in the movie, she goes, oh, I need to gather up my family and go back to my compound where Michael doesn't know where that is and doesn't give a shit. Now, how the fuck's he going to get there? So they have the doctor bring Michael to her. Which he does this, like they do this by, he gets hit by a car. Now, Michael Myers, real fucking person, gets hit at 45 miles an hour by a car, gets thrown by like 30 feet, lying there on the ground. The doctor kills the cop.
Yes.
So now he's a murderer.
Yeah.
This isn't just any kind of like experiment anymore.
He wanted to experience what being a murderer was like.
Which, that's so fucking stupid.
That's cheap fucking writing right there. Mm-hmm. That's because I've seen that in a bunch of different things. Whenever you want to have
you don't just go crazy.
No, but what I'm saying is whenever you want to have a character who's seemingly normal and try to twist them, that's what they always do. They're always like, oh, well, I want to know what it feels like to be a murderer. It's like, fuck you. Yeah. You know? Lazy fucking writing.
And
Danny
you don't
McBride.
just flip a switch and go crazy like almost
No, you
instantaneously.
don't.
Like, you're not like, that was a nice dinner. Hey, honey, you see that hobo in the alley? Want to see what it's like to kill him?
That's murder.
It's like, oh no, this person's a crazy person. And they always have been.
Like they pulled this off. They did like this. Reminded me a lot of Hellbound Hellraiser 2.
Yeah.
Did you ever see that one?
Yes.
Okay. So you know the Dr. Channard character? Okay. Mm-hmm. They did that in a good way. And this is why I bring that up. Because in that movie, there's a whole series of experiences that you get with Dr. Channard in his past. And you see through flashbacks that he has always been crazy. But he's always hidden it underneath this visage of normalcy. And when he gets introduced to the box, it kind of tips it to that point where he's now going into that I want to be a murderer, sadomasochist shit. So there's more, establishment of those sort of tendencies in Hellbound, which in this movie is just like, yep, I want to be crazy.
Yeah.
That's it. And it drove me crazy watching that movie.
Yeah, and he puts a mask on for 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And takes it off.
There's no reason.
Yeah.
There was no fucking reason. That's why I was like, this is the point where this movie went off the fucking rails.
And so they're in a police car because he just killed the cop.
Yes.
And he's driving the car, and in the back of the police car is the granddaughter, and Michael, who he drags into the car and says, oh, he'll be up in a little bit. Real person, Michael Myers. And does he not care that Michael's going to kill the... Has he just gone full loon now? And
he's gone full loon.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, And what do you mean Michael's going to get up? This is a real person. And then he does. He doesn't even really make kind of groan noise. Like he's just fine again.
Yep.
After getting hit by a car at 45 miles an hour. The granddaughter gets away. And then...
Well, he doesn't even try to kill the granddaughter.
Yeah, he kills...
He's just like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he kills the doctor, who the doctor is literally his only purpose. And I know I've said this like 5 times now, but his only purpose was to try to get Michael to Laurie, because there's no logical reason other than that to get him there. And this whole, I just want to see what it's like when they reunite. I know what'll happen. She'll try to kill him and he'll try to kill her.
And someone's probably going to die. Like,
yeah. They're not going to
That's about it. That's what's going to happen.
Michael? Laurie? How are you? Oh, I'm fine. I've been in an insane asylum for years. They said you didn't talk. Oh, I can. I just choose not to. You got any tea? Come on in. Sorry about Annie. She's kind of a bitch anyways.
That's the movie I want to see.
Yeah, and then they bring her to Laurie's murder house.
Oh my God. Yes, and that's when the movie, as I said, that point was when the movie went off the rails, because what we got was Laurie's funny farmhouse.
That was not the product of a healthy mind.
Yeah.
No, that was the product of someone who really liked the game Mousetrap.
Oh yeah.
Which I like I said, there are varying levels of what trauma do to people, but I didn't really feel that this character was that thoughtful. Like I said,
she became Bruce Wayne and built an entire house with moving things.
Well, I guess you could say Bruce Wayne's loony too, but loony Bruce Wayne. But the Laurie in H2O actually seemed like she had layers and was kind of fighting this, where this one was almost kind of embracing her madness. But it was actually kind of interesting that it was kind of the Moby Dick kind of thing that I think they tried to do in Halloween 2 with Loomis, this was his white.
I'm gonna get my white whale.
Yeah. But it was just so forced, Brian. You're right about them missing the middle of this movie, because we get a few of these relationship dynamics between Laurie Strode and her daughter character Judy Greer, whose name I've already forgotten again. Karen. Yeah. And the granddaughter and everything throughout the movie, but very little. And it's more about how annoying she is and how she ruins everything. Laurie, I mean. And then at the very end of the movie, and this is what happens when you force a character arc.
Yeah.
Is they're in the basement of this murder house, and she goes, "Hey, I'm so sorry I was such a bad mother to you, and treated you like crap, but I was just trying to make you tough because there are people like Michael Myers out in the world." And she goes, "I know, Mom. I've always loved you." And by the way, she's in a Christmas sweater, so we hate her. It's Halloween night and Judy Greer's wearing a Christmas sweater, and I'm like, wow, that's just forcing us to hate the character.
Wow.
And she's like, "Oh, and you too, granddaughter." And she's like, "All right, you're good. We're all good now.
We're all good now. Happy family."
And this movie really kind of promotes the idea of emotional trauma to children is okay.
Yes, it does.
Because in the movie, Karen grabs her gun from when she was a little kid, and you can see KS on it with a lightning bolt, little kid. So that's
that's her gun.
Whoa.
And she's like, "Oh, Mom, I can't stop Michael Myers. I just can't do it." And then Michael's like, "Haha, easy prey." And she goes, "Haha, got you," and shoots him, and he falls down the basement stairs. Which
should have shot him in the eyes.
Yeah. Well, apparently that doesn't work. That doesn't kill him.
Well, wait a minute. Human being Michael Myers, it might kill.
Yeah. But he gets shot at the top of the stairs and somehow falls down the stairs, but whatever. But yeah, it's basically
meh.
She used her training from when she was a little kid to lure Michael into her trap.
That's right.
And so basically saying it's okay that Laurie Strode emotionally traumatized this child because it worked out.
I guess.
Hey, Joe Jackson beat greatness into the Jackson 5, right? Is that what we're saying? Yeah, so the movie has very bizarre views on child upbringing, and I mean, because the movie plays Karen as some kind of secondary villain, and she's annoying, and the way that she's raising her daughter is too hippy dippy,
and she's got terrible taste in dudes.
Yeah.
And I hate that being a part of someone's character. I hate that so much.
I know.
That's a big part. I was just talking to John about this the other day. I hate when that's a character plot point for somebody. Oh, you have terrible taste in men. No, you can be a full person, and your interest in your dating life has nothing to do with that.
Well, and then,
but it seems like they put that in there, that she ended up marrying someone who's just the complete opposite of her mom's mentality.
Yeah.
Well, then, like, Laurie is the hero, and Judy Greer is supposed to be kind of like a villain, kind of. Like,
right.
At least in Terminator 2 with Sarah Connor, like, she's portrayed as kind of a crazy person.
Yeah.
And that scene, like, when she escapes out of the insane asylum, and John Connor thinks that she's coming in for a hug, but she's just checking him for bullet wounds.
Yeah.
And treats him like crap and scolds him for coming, and he's crying. And I was like, why? What's wrong with your eyes? Basically, just Laura's Sarah Connor is a bitch.
Yeah.
And she actually has an arc, and she learns to like appreciate her family. Unlike this character, who's horrible the whole movie, but she's our hero.
You're not going to root against Laurie Strode,
right? Yeah, even though she's kind of awful.
It's going on the expectation the audience is rooting for her.
Yeah,
just because it is her white whale.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right. I mean, there's a lot of negative things for her character in this. I just felt that the ending I don't think was too terrible. Being trapped in the murder house.
But
it seemed forced. It seemed very forced.
That was when they had locked him in the basement. So Laurie's house is, if you haven't seen this movie and you're just listening to our podcast, thank you.
For thank yous.
Yeah, she is like clearing the rooms and hitting these buttons, and these like jail gates come down.
Yeah.
So he can't go into those rooms. She's clearing the house, and they fight, and it ends up in the basement, and there's only one way into the basement, and she gates that off and turns on this pyro throughout the house, like gas and pyro. And Michael's like looking up at her, and I thought, because they mentioned the whole talking thing so much in the movie, I thought he was gonna like whisper Laurie or something like that. Thankfully, they didn't ruin.
So glad it didn't do it.
I guarantee there's a cut somewhere.
There's gonna be a cut where that's in there.
Yeah.
Woof.
And what they did, the typical sequel thing where they cut to a shot of the basement on fire, and he's nowhere to be seen in the shot.
Yeah.
So where did he go?
So predictable.
They probably don't even know. They just don't want you to show him burning up.
I didn't stay for the end credits. Was there a shot at the end of the movie?
Technically, but I think it was just a callback.
I didn't stay either.
Yeah.
I think it's technically just a callback to the first film, because at the end of it, there's like heavy breathing around the woods around the house, and I don't think it's necessarily to say Michael will be back like those old James Bond movies. I think it's that like, it's just like the first film ended with the sound of his breathing, and I think it's like an homage to that.
No, he's gonna be back.
Oh well, he will be. They even said they're planning on a
sons
sequel.
Of bitches
they almost actually shot both movies back to back.
Oh yeah,
but they didn't know how this would do. So they said, let's make just this one, see if it's successful, and then we'll make another one.
I made stupid money, so I guess they'll be making another one.
Yeah, and they'll do it in 20 years. H60.
No, they won't do it in 20 years. They're going to do it probably next year.
Yeah. But, and I thought that was a perfect opportunity for the granddaughter character to actually be involved in the story, because when Michael is outside, I thought that they were gonna give some kind of revelation that, like, Laurie, as much as you've been obsessed with Michael, he's just not that into you.
He hasn't thought of you at all.
And it's like, wait, so he left, and they find out like the granddaughter was coming to the house, and Michael, who is now leaving because he's been injured, sees the granddaughter and goes after her, and Laurie realizes that not everything's about her.
Yeah.
And she realizes that in her attempt to keep her family safe, she's put her family in danger, and that maybe she's not been a great mother. And not just literally her coming down the basement stairs and goes, you know what? Come to think of it, I kind of sucked as a mom. I'm sorry. Let's kill this guy. That's what we got instead.
Yeah, right.
Because there was no thoughtfulness.
That's what I'm saying. Like this movie is very much a paint by numbers, as I said, except to that point. But there's really no depth to this movie.
I think a lot of our pacing and tone concerns are based on parts of the movie that we just did not get to see.
I'm telling you, I really think they cut a shit ton of this movie out.
I don't think audience wanted a lot of depth. I think that they wanted a competently done remake of the first film. They just wanted Michael Myers going around Haddonfield killing people.
I'm going to be honest with you. I think the problem, and goes with just, horror movies in general, is the reliance on, well, what does the audience want? The audience ultimately doesn't know what they want. I really believe that. I don't think the audience knows what they want. I think they have ideas, but I don't think they know exactly. That's why, like, you take a movie like Get Out, okay? I use that a lot. All right, if you told the audience, if you relied on the audience to make that movie, you wouldn't get the quality of the movie that we have.
Yeah.
You know? And that's because if you asked the filmmakers behind that, you said, okay, did you consult the audience first before you made this? Or did you just think of, oh, what would be pretty terrifying? And what type of original story could you write? And what layers could you add to that? And I think if you asked them that, they would say, we did exactly that. We didn't, if you asked Jordan Peele, did you talk to an audience and say, what type of horror movie would you like to see? Or did you just go out and try to make the original film that you've wanted to make? And that's, I think, what we need to get back to. I don't think John Carpenter went and thought about what the audience would want when he made the original Halloween. I think he just wanted to make the scariest film he could with what he had. You ask the people behind Night of the Living Dead. If you ask them, oh, were you thinking about all the things that, audiences brought up about, oh, well, is this the Soviet era? Is this, talking about communism? Is this talking about this? They're like, no, we want to make the scariest fucking movie we can make with the money we had. They weren't thinking about the audience. And I think that's the problem with a lot of these horror movies nowadays, is that you've got people like Blumhouse, and yeah, I'm going to call them out, who are saying, well, what does the audience want? And not, this is good for the movie. Does this make sense? That's the problem.
Well, the problem is that these become business decisions now, because the financial gains are just so much more considered than the idea of making actual art. Like with Night of the Living Dead, they wanted to make a movie as scary as they could.
They just want to make a fucking scary movie.
And there was no manipulation of like playing this weird chess game of what's going to make the most money for the least amount of like investment in.
Well, and that's the problem with the fact that they made so many of these movies. Like, they're creatively bankrupt, but financially they're anything but. And
this movie cost
care about that.
$10 to $15 million to make. That was it.
That's so cheap now.
It's over $100 million now, isn't it?
$245 million.
And it was so cheap.
Well over $100 million.
Yeah.
And I see this with the Jurassic World movies too. There's nothing to go back to. It's over. But even though those movies get even worse and worse and worse, they make even more and more money. And as much as we get mad because we feel some kind of ownership over these films like Halloween and the original Jurassic Park, like, Hollywood only makes these to make money, and we have to remember that. And as long as Halloween movies make money, they will keep making them, no matter how much we're like, this bastardizes the original, and you're creatively bankrupt. They say, yeah, but ching ching, bitch.
and well,
all the way to the bank.
I mean, that's the truth of it too. But I think the problem is that that can only work for so long. That sort of strategy only works for so long. Because, we talked about slasher movies. How many of those movies were, oh, these are good for the bank account, but you don't remember them?
Yeah.
Well, there were hundreds of movies that came out during the slasher era that weren't based on some sort of original concept that no one knows about anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
we had even mentioned in our retrospective of the Halloween series how Halloween Resurrection still turned a clean profit.
Yeah.
But they were the studio was so embarrassed by it, they said, you know what? Let's take some time and rethink this. And that's when they decided to reboot it.
Yeah.
Because even though at least there was that one time, they said, even though we're still making money, this is so fucking bad, we have to rethink this.
I really think the only reason that this movie has made as much as it has is because of the hype.
Oh, yes. The marketing of this movie was brilliant.
Yeah, I'll give them that. They did everything they could to make this movie as good as it isn't.
Yeah.
I mean, they pumped it up. They got people to review it and who said, "Oh yeah, this is really good stuff, guys."
Paid off reviewers.
Absolutely, they were fucking paid off reviewers.
Very cool.
Do you want tickets to the premiere? Yeah. Well, hey, you have to read the review we give you. Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Can we get to meet celebrities? Yeah, we'll let you talk to Tanny McBride for 10 minutes if you say this is the best horror movie you've ever seen. Okay.
Yeah, but I mean, if you think about it, like, the people who actually reviewed this as an honest review, they brought up a lot of the key things that we brought up. They said it's not a bad movie, and I wouldn't call this a bad movie. I'd say it's just not a good movie.
Well,
It's okay.
Yeah. Not including Halloween. If we're just on Michael Myers movies, so not including Halloween 3, this, as much as I've shit on this today, this is probably the best sequel to the original film, and I can't believe I'm saying that because this movie stunk. Well, it didn't stink. It was
That's
average.
what I'm saying. It's okay.
Yeah, it was an okay horror movie
okay.
that I went, meh. Yeah.
It's the Blumhouse seal of okayness.
Let me
of
say
averageness.
Let me put it this way. If it didn't have the word Halloween attached to it, and I also didn't do a podcast, I wouldn't have seen this movie.
Yeah.
I saw it.
Well, why would you have,
I saw it because it was Halloween, and as much as this one let me down, I thought, oh, this is maybe going to be the one time they make a decent sequel. I'll go see probably the other Blumhouse Halloween 2 or whatever they're going to call it, like an idiot.
It's the same reason that Lane and I go to see Star Wars movies.
We just love it.
And that one will be even worse, and I'll go, oh, fuck.
God
You
help
know?
us.
They got me again, and I'll leave that theater all pissed off, too.
But I think that the reason this has made money is because of hype. It's also because of the fact that, people really have rose-colored glasses for nostalgia. And they like seeing, their old favorites all come together. Even if it's in a shit pile like this is.
Well, and they had the luxury of going back and seeing where everything went off the tracks, just like they did with Star Wars. Like when they're making The Force Awakens, like, oh wait, the stormtroopers are clones? That's stupid. No, that doesn't exist anymore. And
but they did.
They referenced it.
They referenced that shit.
But follow me here. They're like, oh, all the worlds are CGI. That kind of looks bad. Let's go back to building sets. Yeah,
we're still going to do CGI. Though.
Yeah, and they did it with this movie too, where they're like, okay, people thought it was dumb that they're siblings. Okay, let's take that out. It was much scarier when he was a real guy. Okay, he's not like supernatural Michael Myers anymore. He's and they went and they did a checklist of things, and then they sold that bill of goods to the audience, like, oh, this is just like the first film. We're getting back to the gritty realism of the first film, and and everybody involves a real artist, and John Carpenter's involved, and wow, this is going to be really amazing. Like they hyped this movie so brilliantly.
Yeah, and it paid off. I really can't.
And not
hate
to,
them for that.
They have the sales with it.
They have the sales for it.
And not
Good
to
for
go
them.
back right to the beginning of the movie, but did you guys find it slightly obnoxious that they did the reverse shot of the time lapse of the pumpkin reforming?
No, I thought that was cool. I actually liked that part.
I did too, yeah.
Well, here's what I didn't like. I didn't like what it suggested. Like, here it is. It's back. We're bringing Halloween back the way it's supposed to be. And this film is so fucking great. Halloween is back. And
John, I told you, it's the same thing with fucking Star Wars.
Yeah.
This is literally the exact same playbook that Star Wars is doing.
And it just worries me because are we just going to live in this like regurgitated wasteland of our own childhoods and the lexicon of pop culture that's come before? I mean, are we not going to have new films?
You mean like Ready Player One?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, are we not going to have new
about that
films
turd.
and new ideas? I mean, that really worries me. Like, I mean, we're glib a lot on this show, I know, but like the idea that no one can come up with an original fucking idea, like that concerns me greatly.
I don't think that it's no one can come up with an original idea. I think it's just that the powers that be that fund this shit don't want original ideas.
It's business decisions, not creative ones.
Well, guys, also on top of that, it's exactly what South Park was suggesting with member berries. When times are awful, you want to go back to things that make you happy.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's true.
So I don't want to try a new horror movie. I want to go see Halloween again. So can you give me it, but make it feel like it's new again? Oh yeah, we'll kind of make the same movie, but it's gonna be a little bit different, But
the Loomis character is really a psycho. He wears a mask. Yeah, get it? Remember,
Lori,
remember Lloyd, remember Mask.
Shamrock, Yeah, so it's just that comfort level of going back and seeing what 10,000 fucking times, and there will be H60.
But
where Michael's 85.
I just think that it dilutes the genre so that when we do get a movie like Get Out, which clearly goes against those notions, and that's the thing is,
and previous conventions, it kind of just like holy shit, gives you that sort of thing. It Follows is another one, I forgot about that.
Yeah, everyone forgets about that one, but it's the same sort of thing. So, I mean, I think that the problem is just that, as we said, this movie cost $10 to $15 million to make. it made $245 million so far. You know, that's not going to encourage these studios to say, yeah, you know what? Let's bet against that whole shit and try to focus on original works that have deeper levels of story than just mask guy, kill, stabby, stab, cut, cut.
True.
You know, that's the problem. And that's, I think, what you're alluding to, Lane, is that, you know, are we just going to get recycled shit over and over again? And I think the answer, unfortunately, is yes, until that doesn't work anymore.
Yeah.
Well, we've mentioned it on the show a couple of times. There's no easy way to determine what's going to be a box office success anymore. There were years and years where it was the star of the movie. If you put Cary Grant in the movie, it's going to be successful, you know, or whatever the situation is. That faded away. Or a particular genre or time of the year the movie came out. They use those to determine when a movie would be successful. Those don't actually turn out to be good
indicators.
Yeah, for whether the movie's... So they've run out of ways to determine whether a movie's going to be successful, except one thing. If it already is successful.
Yeah.
So you remake Jaws, you remake Back to the Future,
gross,
you remake
guys.
RoboCop, you remake all these
Depressing.
fucking movies because they're already names of movies that were already successful. And that is the only way studios can guarantee success. And so they don't bother to try anything new because they're afraid it'll fail.
Yeah.
But and there's no way. Oh, if George Clooney's in it and make $1 bajillion. No, I mean, look at The Men Who Stare at Goats. It's not true.
Yeah, that's true.
So they have no way to gauge a successful film other than it's an already known brand.
Yeah,
And
I guess
Jurassic
that's a
World
good
2
point.
was a
But-
disaster, but it made over $1 billion.
But
Yeah.
where I see that is not the case is on TV. That is the only avenue that I've seen.
Who knew the TV would be so
with
dope,
TV
you guys?
that would do that shit?
For real.
Because
in like the mid-90s, TV's for idiots.
no, but
movies
what
are where
I
it's
mean
at.
is, it seems to me that original content that maybe does not fit within the paradigm of Hollywood is on places like Netflix. It is on places like Hulu. It is on, you know, Amazon Prime. I mean, if you were to tell me that, you know, a TV show about post-apocalyptic world in which women are basically subjugated would be a hit. You know, I'm talking about, you know, Handmaid's Tale.
I figured.
You know, if you were to tell me that sort of thing that would exist and would be phenomenal and be a hit and have great levels of story with complex characters, that sort of thing would exist on TV and would be tremendously popular, I would have said you're fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Because I would say TV, there's no way that they would allow that on television.
And it's crazy that like we have new streaming services that break all the network rules. I wish we could just see some kind of renaissance like that for film, you know, because I do love film still.
I do too. And I love, you know, the fact that I don't have to binge a movie. Mm-hmm. That I can basically give myself, you know, okay, 2 hours, and I can sit down and watch a complete story in 2 hours.
Right.
I love that aspect.
And there's no distractions.
There's no distractions. You're in a movie theater.
I like the movie
you know,
theater.
even if you're not in a movie theater, you know, I know that, okay, in this 2 hour block, you know, maybe I don't look at my phone while I'm watching it because I've only got this thing to watch. You know,
Yeah.
With you know, episodic television, you're kind of like, well, you know, I've got the next 10 episodes to get through before I get to the end of the story. So you might be more inclined to look at your phone, that sort of shit. But I guess for me, I just think that there needs to be that renaissance in film. We need to get back to telling original fucking stories and creating brand new things that people have never seen before, or you're referencing things from before. You know, there's nothing wrong with using member berries, but maybe instead of like, you know, remaking the whole fucking thing, you just pick and choose parts that you liked.
Well, like Stranger Things. I think Stranger Things beautifully took member berries and created something new.
Stranger Things is great. And here's the thing, funny thing, they ran into a lot of problems trying to get that show,
I believe it.
you know, picked up because a lot of people were like, I don't want to do this. No one wants to see that.
That's a different type of member berries.
But that's what I'm saying. They took
is.
like
that Tarantino, Simon Pegg kind of approach.
Yes,
where
but
they're homaging. Yeah, I mean, like,
there's nothing wrong with that.
I don't
you
think
can
so
do
either.
that, but you're still creating something brand new.
Yeah,
exactly.
You know, and I think that's the problem we're seeing is that in the horror genre, we're not seeing anything brand fucking new. We're just seeing the rehashing of shit over and over again. Thank you, Blumhouse, for that one. You know, and I just think that it's only going to keep going. Like, no one cares about the fucking Nun
Yeah, right? That was such an odd choice.
That advertising, like, the trailer was too scary to show on television.
No one gives a shit about the fucking nun. Okay?
That was a weird choice. I'm not going to lie.
Wait, the flying nun, Sally Field?
No, just the nun. Just the nun. It's so scary. It's like, nah.
No.
It's the same shit over and over again.
Guys, here's how unimpressive this movie is. We're having more of a conversation about why studios make these movies than we did the movie itself.
That goes to show you.
Wah.
Wah, wah.
Well, and I'm not. If you liked Halloween, I'm not saying that this is necessarily you. I'm not trying to insult our audience, but I think that while there are a lot of intelligent people that go see the Jurassic Park movies, the Star Wars movies, and the Halloween movies that come out, there's some people that go, I just want to see a lightsaber. I just want to see a dinosaur. I just want to see Michael Myers stab people. They just, and that's what they get. There's Michael, he killed somebody. There's a velociraptor, he killed somebody. There's a lightsaber, it killed somebody. You go,
Wait, they just want to see death. Oh my God. John, you're getting some deep truths here.
I just want to see a spaceship. I want to see Millennium Falcon. And if they see it, they're happy. And there's, I'm sure, a lot of people who saw this movie who were just happy with the popcorn movie that they saw around the holidays of the scary guy in the mask killing people.
Yeah, and that's fine. And I don't have a problem with them.
And I know that
Movies
I'm a little bit too attached.
for a lot of people.
I'm a little bit too attached to
escapism.
the original film. And I
little bit.
I think that I'm just so protective of my baby that maybe I'm putting this movie on too much of a pedestal and not giving it too hard of a time.
I have had so many of my babies be destroyed.
It's true.
By remakes.
My
turtles were destroyed.
Yep.
My Freddy Krueger was
destroyed. They did that by the second one anyway. Secret of the Ooze.
Listen, I gotta deal with my turtles, my Freddy. Okay, they continually every 4 years it seems like destroy my Hellraiser. Every 4 years, my babies are getting destroyed.
Well, guys, you know what the perfect franchise is, right? Friday the 13th, because they always were garbage. And never weren't garbage.
That's a good
point.
And
now they're doing my Child's Play.
Yeah.
They're remaking my Child's Play.
No.
My Chucky.
Well, they kind of already did a soft sequel boot with Curse of Chucky.
Yeah, but now they're doing it again.
Man.
Well, hey.
Fuck continuity,
don't
right?
fuck with the Chuck.
Yeah.
Don't fuck with the Chuck. But yeah, like I said, it wasn't horrible. I would give this movie about 5 out of 10. That's maybe 6 if I'm feeling generous.
That's way more generous than I gave it. I'm sorry. I would have given it a 5 out of 10 if it didn't have that moment that I talked about where the doctor is putting the fucking mask on.
Right.
If that moment didn't exist,
that was so odd.
I would have been fine giving it a 5 out of 10 because it's very much a paint by numbers Halloween movie. But that moment was there. So guess what that got? That got more like a 3. Yeah. It got a 3.
And guys, I know we're probably running a little bit long, but I just, it seems like it's probably to a lot of the audience, we've been nitpicking a lot of things, but kind of in an overall sense, why do we think the movie failed? I think that the tone was all messed up. I thought there was out-of-place characters and dialogue. I thought that the arcs were forced. I thought most of the characters were useless.
Are you going to leave anything for us to say, though?
Well, no, I want.
We need to say some things, man.
You could say the same things as me. I'm saying this is where I thought the film failed. Yeah, I thought.
We know it's your baby.
And I thought that the scenes that were supposed to be scary weren't scary at all because there's absolutely zero sense of tension built up by a director that didn't know what they were doing. So I didn't feel anything in this movie. I just saw things. I didn't feel anything.
I thought it had pacing problems. I thought it had dialogue problems. I thought it relied too heavily on just simply people wanting to marinate in the old, more in the franchise than of what this movie could possibly be. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I don't have quite as many. You said a lot of things that I probably would have said, but
the biggest thing I have is that this movie failed because they cut out so much.
I mean, they must have, right?
They must have.
Are we making that up, or is that a thing?
No, they cut out all the cerebral parts in the movie so they could put more kills in.
That's what I'm saying. The biggest problem is that studio interference came in and cut out probably about a third of the movie. And that third of the movie probably gave us things that we saw in it. Like the deeper meaning behind Laurie Strode's, PTSD and her relationship with her daughter and, just things that we would maybe want to see in the much hyped about sequel to the original Halloween. So, that's the failure there, is that they thought the audience was dumb and gave them dumb shit.
You know, and it's interesting to me that they said, like, oh, well, this is the only sequel. It's almost like they packed a franchise worth of trauma into Laurie Strode's character.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Well, guys, could we say the movie was more focused on boogeymen than it was actual women and men?
Oh.
The movie was more focused on this
that pun's terrible.
mindless killing machine than it was actual.
He tries so hard
that
for you.
That is not your strongest.
Can't you just tell him you're proud of him once?
I'm proud of you,
Dad.
I'm proud of you, but that was fucking terrible.
All he wants is for
Brian
you to be
just had
proud
an
of
arc,
him.
and we're in a basement. So now, if Michael shows up, I can have the strength to kill him.
Nailed it.
But yeah, I'll be excited to watch the horrible sequel to this in a year and a half.
Yep. And we'll do another episode, guys. Fear not.
Okay. So, Lane, where can they find you at on the Twitter machine?
I can be found at LA_Croft.
John?
Oh, hold on. Let me check. At New Halloween Film. Oh, crap. I'm fired. No, the Unreal J. Wolves.
And you can find me at Brian Contos on the Psycho Show page. Be sure to like us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Google+, at Psycho Show. You can also find us on the Epicast Network at epicastnetwork.com. If you have a favorite movie or question you want to throw away, if you want to tell us how our review of Halloween 2018 was terrible and you loved it, and you know that we're a bunch of film twats, you can contact us at cinemapsychoshow.com. And make sure to follow us on Apple Podcasts and send a review to us, and catch a new episode available every Sunday.
You can't kill the boogeyman as long as he's profitable.
Epicast.